Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new campaign. This is the MAD or Mutually Assured Destruction campaign for the AH-64 Apache in DCS World. This was voted on both on Discord and on YouTube, came down to a single vote, but this one just squeaked ahead, and so I'm really excited to be jumping into this new series. Now, this campaign is following on directly from the MAD campaign for Huey or the Gazelle, which I have not played, but the game does give you a little bit of a recap in the documents that come with it. Long story short, Iran is in a massive civil war, with various sides being supported either by Russia or by NATO. And nuclear weapons were used. A base was seized by a general and nuclear weapons were deployed to try and break a stalemate, and so Iran is now currently irradiated while fighting a civil war. And that's where we come in. We are flying here for the United Arab Emirates, who are attempting to capture the coastline in order to establish the Gulf of Arabia. The UAE have NATO backing for this, so we are taking part as a NATO strike force heading in. And our particular little helicopter deployment is part of the UAE's Special Forces, and so we're going to be escorting Special Forces into zones, providing CAS, providing CSAR and similar operations. Now, this mission in particular starts off with us heading in on the initial invasion. Troops have just started to land on the Iranian coastline, and we are supporting a helicopter insertion of further troops being dropped in to establish a beachhead at the city of Bandar-e Lengeh. And sorry, I'm going to butcher names during this campaign. So our mission is fairly straightforward. We are here to escort this Chinook all the way to the target site, where they will then drop off their troops. But we are then going to be assigned various targets by special forces in the area. We will get these sent to us while we're on the way, so we'll be able to upload those coordinates. And then after we've dealt with those specific pre-arranged targets, we'll then be given other targets to take out as we go. Now, despite owning the Apache for a very long time, I don't have a lot of experience in it, so this is going to be a bit of a learning experience for me, but let's jump in and see how it all goes.
Saber 3-1, any exact information? Yes, you have them on your tablet. The TSD already has a shulker in Bastana. The SAM coordinates are also in your tablet. Copy that. Confirm receiving coordinates. Look out for the ART target. It's in the mountains behind Bostan. I couldn't find their forward observer. He's probably somewhere in the foothills. The ART target is a priority, but make sure you do a good job over Bastana. There are armoured vehicles and infantry, so the hazard level is high. Appreciate your latest updates, Riley. We'll work it out fine. 734, copy. You're receiving coordinates. Good luck, everyone.
So at this point, I just begin the task of putting those coordinates into the TSD. Good practice here, getting me used to putting these in again, but I do manage to get the hang of it in the end, enter them all without too much problem.
Alpha 1, Saber 3-1, on approach and requesting to land. Saber 3-1, welcome home. Clear to land. QFE 29.79, wind is 6 knots. Direction 010 degrees. Landing heading 027. SOC, initiate auto search of AFV target coordinates via ACQ. After pounding out 3 landing, we are heading for Bustana. Our targets are armored vehicles, infantry, and SAMs. Roger. 2 at the ready. 2 at the ready. We take Pontiac 3 to the final approach and head to Bristana at a low speed to the Hellfire range. Fire by order. Clear.
Slaving. Deslaving.
Thanks for your support, Saber Free 2. See you on the Alpha, Sidika. 2 slowly approaching the AFV target, heading 085 from the water.
So here we turn in and start heading towards the first target, which is some IFVs in the middle of a city, and so as soon as we get close, start hunting down targets.
City center, I have an IFV in sight, also a 2-story building with an antenna on the roof. I have a SAM in sight.
Slaving. Deslaving. Laser on. Target lost.
3, tally bunker at
Lasers
Alpha
out.
071 Fort 11.
Now, unfortunately, this is my second attempt at this run. On the first one, DCS just crashed. I took a shot and DCS just crashed. Now, very, very luckily, considering that was a half-hour flight to get this far, this campaign does have checkpoint system, and so I could take off just from where I left off the Apache, and so really wasn't too long to get back into the fight. Really nice quality of life feature there. Now, my CPG does manage to spot an IFV here. I don't really have great view on it. I'm keeping an eye on his view on the targeting pod, and there seems to be a lot of buildings in the way. I'm not confident that I'm going to get a shot, so I'm just kind of drifting around the side to get a better angle. When I can actually see the thing, I then give him permission to fire.
Radar. 4 o'clock. Searching. Radar. 4 o'clock. Searching.
I'm just trying to hold it steady, make sure that CPG can maintain the lock, but it comes in nicely.
Lasers off. Target destroyed.
So good hit there, nice amount of splash damage as well on some nearby infantry, including a man-pad, which could have been nasty. When I laser again, I do spot a AAA, so immediately tell my CPG to engage that. Again, just try and hold it still while waiting for that Hellfire to make its way, but sure enough, it gets there.
Lasers off. Those are good hits.
Another nice set of hits there, feeling quite confident that I've knocked out a lot of the AAA threat here. Next thing that I spot is a BTR, that's one of our main targets here, so tell my CPG, who in this campaign is called Saleh, but is also George, so I'll probably use those two names interchangeably. Either way, tell him to far away.
Splash!
SA6. 11 o'clock. Searching.
And
The
slaving.
enemy is suppressed. They are now hiding in the buildings. We may start with our next target. The ART artillery in the mountains. Copy that.
That was the last heavy vehicle of this lot. This doesn't expect you to take out all of the infantry in the area. Instead, when all of the vehicles are gone, the infantry go into hiding, which is very, very useful. So start heading for the next target now, which is a short distance away, but hidden in a little mountain ravine.
The ART target is covered with hills on 3 sides. The suitable heading is 325 degrees. Roger, we'll be on it.
So I follow those instructions, loop around a little bit. I'm not too worried about the occasional alarms that are coming in of SAM tracking. I'm well beyond the SA6 engagement zone here, so I'm just keeping an eye out, but not really worried. But here, finally come up to look down the length of this ravine, finally get good eyes on what I am meant to be looking for, and so tell my CPG to engage. He ignores it at first. I think he just didn't have the right angle, but then I tell him again, and finally he does fire.
Engaging.
Missile.
Now I do get a missile launch warning, I do see the white smoke, I jink to the side while flaring. Thankfully the SAM takes the flare, but feeling a little bit nervous then, my own rifle does go ahead and hit home. So Saleh did a good job at keeping track of the target despite my rough manoeuvring there. Now the hit does take out a lot of the enemy targets there, including the man pad, but there is still something firing out at me there. I was trying to get off another shot, but start to take fire, decide that I'm getting too close and pull away here to come back with a little more distance. I really got too close there. Those shots could have been a lot nastier than they were. So turn back around now at a little bit more of a respectable distance and make sure I'm not approaching the target too quickly this time. Look again on the targets. There is a ZIL. I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm pretty sure the rest of them are the artillery pieces, so I'm assuming that is whatever was shooting back at me, and so decide to prioritise that. And as I'm heading in, do have to tell Saleh a couple of times to fire the missile, but in the end he does do what he's told.
Roger, engaging.
5 o'clock. Searching.
Lasers off. Target
The
destroyed.
armor truck is destroyed.
Slaving.
But now that down, I am pretty confident that there is no more threats here, so I decide to save my remaining hellfires and just see if guns can chew up these things, so start firing. And sure enough, the cannon on the Apache is more than enough to deal with this self-propelled artillery, so get a good hit there, good kill, and then just start chewing my way through the rest of these.
Engaging.
20 round burst is maybe a little bit more than I need, but I'm not too worried. At this range it's going to be a little bit inaccurate. All these vehicles are so packed together that any misses will be hitting the other trucks, so happy just to keep spraying as I slowly creep closer, making sure I take everything out.
Roger, engaging. Those are good hits.
Commander, we are through. All targets are down.
And slaved. I'm deslaved.
After a little more pouring bullets into that area, we do finally take out the last one, and that is this part of the mission complete.
I'm using the ACQ GHS target method. Try to do less maneuvering, Commander.
Now here that little restart earlier does come back to bite me, and I don't get a very important voice call. I'm on one of the wrong frequencies. The restart has 2 of the frequencies entered correctly, but the 3rd one isn't, and I didn't double check that. And so that meant that I lost the briefing for the next part, but after some digging online I did find out that I was supposed to be told that there is a forward artillery observer somewhere around here, and that I have to go and track him down, and so that is what I end up doing. He is meant to be in the area, and so figure, well, forward artillery observer around the mountain area, he's gonna be near one of the peaks to get good views, and so just start searching the high ground. Now, after a little bit of searching, I do eventually find this team. They are on the very highest peak of this little set of hills, and so eventually go in, lock them up, and start heading in. Decide that there's may as well go for guns for this, and so tell CPG to start firing. Unfortunately, I had accidentally told him to change over to a 50 round burst, so he puts a huge amount of ammunition downrange here, but probably for the best. I do have to flare out a man pad that was launched in return, but during that burst I did also get the launcher. Not all of the enemies on the target were destroyed, still a couple there. Do change over to a 10 round burst since I feel that 50 rounds was probably overkill. But then just end up flying over the top of the target here, so I have to reposition a little bit before Saleh here can get a decent hit.
I'm deslaved.
But do in the end swing around, fire 10 more rounds, get a nice explosion as the equipment goes up, and that's the last guy.
Those are good hits.
Personnel targets destroyed.
Tally on track. 02547.
is down.
Slaving. Deslaving.
Delta 8, Saber 3-2. Forward controller is down.
Good job, Saber. I have one more request for you.
SA6, 2 o'clock, searching.
We still have some ammunition. We can work.
Searching.
Diwan settlement. There are snipers and observers on the rooftops. Our task is to take and hold this village. My request is that you suppress as much of the enemy as you possibly can.
Dodge 1, tally infantry at
10 o'clock, searching.
Accepted your request. We'll be working in Diwan.
SA6, 5 o'clock, tracking.
So a couple of problems there. The first is that there is a huge amount of static in these voice lines, and with the normal call-ins also coming in over the same frequency, it all makes it a bit hard to understand. But there we were sent to support an attack on the town of Diwan or Divan, and that's all fair enough. We're just supposed to suppress any units we find there. The problem is there is no such town marked on DCS's F10 map. It might be marked on the briefing map, but even going over to the briefing map and trying to look as closely as I can't make out any of the names of the towns there. They're really not printed big enough. And so what I ended up doing here is alt-tabbing over, going to Google Maps and finding where this bloody town was, and eventually identified it as this particular one off my nose is the little town of Diwan Bandar-e. So yeah, a little bit odd there. Probably could have used maybe coordinates or maybe having it properly marked on the briefing map. But anyway, found it, started to approach it. Also sent in my wingman on this one. Every target we did get the option to send in the wingman. I was holding him back just in case I needed him later, but at this point thought that we're approaching the end of the mission, so may as well just send him in to soften the target for me. A little bit nervous of man pads around here, so after taking out the bunker on the outside of town, I then do decide to send a Hellfire into the middle of a group of infantry, hoping it will splash any other man pads that might be hiding around, which could really cause us some trouble.
Lasers off.
And decide just to flip over onto the cannon for this and start heading in, pick out a ZIL that I am going to prioritise and just start firing cannon rounds in. Now the gun is still set to a 10 round burst initially. That's really not a lot, so I do have to fire quite a few times to chew through the first target, and so decide to flip up to a 20 round burst. I do have plenty of ammo left in this thing, so have plenty to play around with and can just start spraying out. And mostly for the fun of it and some practice, I do end up switching back over to the head-mounted control of the cannon in order to fire off a few shots manually, and so just start really just spraying the area, trying to lead the rounds across any vehicles that I spot. Anytime I get returned fire, I turn the camera over there and start winging shots towards them. But then I'm having trouble actually hitting the infantry. Hitting the vehicles is okay, but hitting the infantry is really quite a challenge with that camera. I'm not great at it yet, and really not flying this as smoothly as I really could. So in the end decide to hand it back to Saleh there to get some more sort of sniper hits on, take out some of these annoying infantry before they get a lucky shot off. And he does do a good job there, just sniping out these few little vehicles there. Very, very accurate with the targeting pod locked onto these things, especially at this range. Do get a little bit too close, I do start to take hits and decide that I'm being a bit silly hovering so close, so decide to pull away, evade a little bit, and come back in with a little bit more distance.
Firing. Those are good hits. And slaved. I'm deslaved. Deslaving.
I'll swing back in, My CPG does pick off a couple of more infantry, but really not much left in the centre here. Do spot a vehicle, a truck, so decide to prioritise that. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of issue. I'm not sure if he lost sight because of my manoeuvring or lost sight because of the smoke, or maybe one of the buildings got in the way. Either way, he really wasn't happy about engaging this, so once again I just flip over to manual control and then start spraying along. And once again do eventually get some good hits there and take out this last truck.
The enemy is down. Survivors hiding inside houses and in the basements. Got it. We're heading home. Delta 8, the enemy at Diwan is down. Observation points destroyed. You can carry on working.
Great job, Saber 3-2. Your level of training is not any worse than what we have in the kingdom.
2, we are heading home. Praise the Almighty Commander. It was a nice job.
So at that point, nothing left to do but to RTB.
732, after the landing, we'll hand over. There's also the radiation recon and the troops landing zone. Are you afraid, Farid, or are you? We're ready to give all it takes to save our life, but we are prepared to give it to keep our honor.
Radar. 12 o'clock. Searching. Radar.
What we really need are some high-end NIEs with their air filtration and sealed cabin. Those were just created for nuclear war.
747.
In a couple of weeks, the coalition will be in Bandar-e, so we'll see the Hinds. We will not fight the Russians. We only want to make the Arabian Gulf. Yes, Khalid, but the Gulf will never be safe unless Bandar-e falls. Farid is right, Commander. Bandar Abbas is a true Iranian fortress that has support from the Russian and the Chinese forces. We will have to fight them. It's just a question of time. May the Almighty help us on that journey. Allah be praised.
And so then it's just a case of flying all the way back, a fairly uneventful flight back. It is a little bit strange how far back our particular carrier is, considering there are other Tawa class carriers in the group, which is what we took off from and are landing at, that are much, much closer, half the distance away. So it's a bit of an odd decision to make our one in particular really, really far to go to, having to fly past other Tawas on the way back to our particular one. But yeah, otherwise that mission went fine. Quite nicely. The mission does give you an option not to land if you don't want to. The mission does complete before landing, then it just pops up saying you can land if you want to. It doesn't affect the mission. I decided to land. I could use some practice landing Apaches. The first time I've actually landed one on a carrier. The Tawa is a nice carrier to land in. Nice straightforward approach, just have to set it down. So yeah, all in all, really enjoyed that first mission. Some slight issues there with the restart. That's really my fault more than anything. The crash I don't think is anything to do with the mission. I think that's just DCS being DCS. Some really nice quality of life features here. Bit of a pity about that naming a target that isn't on the DCS map without giving any further coordinates is all a bit awkward. But yeah, really enjoyed that. All in all, though, we got a total of 36 kills there to our aircraft. A vast majority of those were infantry. A handful of those were me using the targeting head-mounted display, most of them with Saleh doing all of the legwork there. I am, at least at the moment, going to be flying this campaign from the point of view of the pilot. You can optionally flip over onto the CPG seat and do a little bit more there. I might do a little bit more of that as the campaign goes on. For now, I'm focusing on the pilot. Do let me know down below if you'd prefer me to stick with the pilot's point of view throughout the campaign, or if you'd like me to be jumping back and forth between them. I'm absolutely open to suggestions there. Either way, did enjoy this, looking forward to the next one, and hope you are too. Until then, remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.